Okay, I hear the music and it's 7:31, so why don't we go ahead and start our City Council study session for the morning of Thursday, April the 9th. I see our council is all present with the exception of Mr. Freeman. Mr. Brady, have we heard word that Mr. Freeman's not going to be with us today?
I have not, Mayor. He may be out feeding his goat, I think. I'm not sure where he's at.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, I suspect we'll see Mark join us shortly. When I called him yesterday, he was driving a hay truck. So it'll be interesting to see, what his activities were this morning. The first item on our agenda today is to hear a presentation, discuss, and provide direction on the impact of COVID-19 on the city's financial position, forecast, and budget modification recommendations,
Hold on.
focusing on project deferral recommendation. That's a mouthful, but that's all one sentence. So,
Mayor?
Mr. Brady, I know you've got several presentations ready for us.
Mayor, if you don't mind, could we do the Mesa Housing Services Governing Board item first?
Oh, absolutely.
I know
You bet.
there's two items posted for this morning, but maybe if we could take that one first, and then then we could allow Mary to move on. So, yeah, if we could move into that governing board meeting, please.
Okay, absolutely. So we'll take out of order agenda item 2A. This is the wait. That's just I might be looking at an old agenda.
So, Mayor,
are we conducting a separate meeting today for the housing board?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I apologize. I failed to print that agenda off. So let me pull it up on my phone. Excuse me. Well, I'll just fake it without an agenda.
Yeah.
Welcome everyone to the Housing Governing Board.
And Mayor, let me walk you through it. And so after you have approval of minutes for December 5th, 2019 as your first item on that agenda.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mr. Freeman. You're now participating in the Mesa Housing Board. Good to have you with us. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, as Mr. Brady indicated, the first item on our agenda for this meeting is approval of minutes of the December 5th meeting. Is there a motion to that effect? Thank you, Mr. Thompson, seconded by Mr. Luna. We will need to do a roll call vote. Mr. Brady, do we have anyone on this board other than the council members?
Not present. Yet the council constitutes the board that's in attendance today.
Okay, so our other board member is not in attendance today?
Correct. He could not make it today.
Okay. All right. So we are voting on approving the minutes of the December meeting. I vote aye. Mr. Freeman, how do you vote?
Aye.
Thank you. Mr. Whitaker?
Aye.
Mr. Heredia?
Aye.
Ms. Duff?
Aye.
Mr. Luna?
Aye.
Mr. Thompson?
Aye.
Thank you. It's a unanimous vote approving the minutes of that meeting. Mr. Brady, is there anything else on the agenda for this meeting?
Yes, sir. Next item is item 3A. It's approving the City of Mesa Public Housing Agency 2020-2025 5-year plan and the annual plan for fiscal year 2020-2021, and authorizing the chairman of the board to submit the 5-year plan and the annual plan to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. And we have staff here to make a presentation, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Please proceed.
Mary?
I added that. That was. Can you see the presentation by chance?
Yes, it's on our screen. Yes, it is. Thank you, Mary.
Okay. All right, how's that? So this will help you along with the agenda items. So today we want to conduct a public hearing to allow public comments regarding the Mesa Housing Services 2025 5-year housing plan and 2021 public housing agency plan.
Go ahead, just say
So we received no comments from internally for through us for any from the public for the plan.
Oh, Mayor, sorry, I think we need you to, this is a public hearing, my apologies.
Okay.
And so you need to open up the public hearing for comments. And there's no one here, but I think officially need to open it up and then close it for public comments.
Okay, and I apologize, I don't have the agenda attached to my calendar this morning, so we'll just work off the screen. The first action item on our agenda is to conduct a public hearing to allow for public comments regarding the Mesa Housing Services 2020 through 2025 5-year housing plan and the 2020 through 2021 Public Housing Agency annual plan. I declare the public hearing open. Ms. Mickelson, do we have any requests to speak from the public on this item?
It's Mosley today. But no, we do not have any comments.
Okay, thank you. Council, any comments on this agenda item? All right, hearing none, I declare the public hearing closed. The next item on our agenda is an action item is to adopt a resolution approving the Mesa Housing Services 2020 through 2025 5-year housing plan and the 2020 through 2021 Public Housing Agency annual plan, and authorizing the chairman of the board or his designated representative to sign and submit to HUD and to Housing and Urban Development, HUD, that plan. Is there a motion to that effect? Thank you, Mr. Luna. Seconded by Mr. Thompson. We'll conduct a roll call vote. I vote aye. Mr. Freeman, how do you vote?
Aye. Thank you.
Mr. Whitaker?
Aye.
Mr. Heredia?
Aye.
Ms. Duff?
Aye.
Mr. Luna?
Aye.
Mr. Thompson?
Aye.
Thank you. That motion passes unanimously. Mr. Brady, is there any other action item? I see to approve the next action item is to approve revisions and updates to Mesa's Housing Services Administrative Plan, which outlines the Mesa Housing Services policies. Do we have any requests to speak on this item?
No, Mayor, we do not.
Thank you. Council, any questions regarding this item?
Let him know.
Okay. I think it's useful to note that this is not Mary's first rodeo. We've had multiple presentations on the housing master plan as it has been going on for many months. I think in reliance on all of the previous plans that or updates that we've received, we're not rushing through this, would be fair to say. Okay, Council, if there's no additional comments on this, this is an action item. So we need a motion to approve the revisions and updates. Thank you, Mr. Luna, and seconded by Mr. Thompson. We'll conduct a roll call vote. I vote aye. Mr. Freeman, how do you vote?
Aye.
Thank you. Mr. Whitaker?
Aye.
Thank you. Mr. Heredia?
Aye.
Thank you. Ms. Duff?
Aye.
Thank you. Mr. Luna?
Aye.
Thank you. Mr. Thompson?
Aye.
Thank you. The vote is unanimous on that action item. Mr. Brady, is there any other agenda items for this meeting?
I think Mary just has a brief presentation for you to bring you up to date on some of the items related to this.
Okay, thank you very much. Mary?
Good morning.
Take it away.
Good morning, Chair and board members. The changes to the administrative plan were very minor items that we made changes. A lot of them were just clarifications with HUD regulations. So I just wanted to make that note. So just as a quick report, our utilization for 2019, as you can see, we had a huge increase towards the end of the year. As a reminder, we do our utilization for our funding is on a calendar year. So we ended up the calendar year at 95.1%, but we ended up really well, right over 100%, which brings us into 2020 at a good time. Now we'll just maintain that 100% where we're using all of our vouchers. So this was a good thing for us there. One thing I wanted to note is we're still seeing families that have vouchers in Mesa move from their current unit into a new one. So there are available units, and we're seeing families that are moving from other cities into Mesa as well from other housing authorities. So I just wanted to make that note. Our housing assistance payments, which we say HAP, we are right over $1 million each year, about 1.2 million each month, for our rent payments. We could see an increase of that each month. But we spent over 13 million in 2019 on rental payments on behalf of the participants in Mesa. The reason for the increase of our monthly rents are because of the market rents are so high, and we're seeing the rent increases come through with that. So that continues to increase for that. Housing updates, just real quick, we wanted to share with you. We moved into our new location in December. We really like it. We've had our clients, our participants, with positive comments. They say it's nice getting out of their car, getting right into our building. They say the lobby's nice. I had a customer, a participant that was in a scooter, and she says it was really roomy for her to be able to get around. So we're real happy down there. Our VASH utilization, an update on that, is we have 138 housed. 10 veterans are searching for units. They have a voucher in hand that they're searching for a unit, and 1 veteran is scheduled to move in this month. Another thing I didn't have on here is our family unification. Those are the families that are working with the Department of Child Safety. We received the 28 vouchers and started leasing those up just about a year ago. And we have 24 of 28 families that are leased up with that, and they are searching.
Mary, as long as you're talking about voucher utilization, that's a lot of VASH vouchers, obviously, that are being used, but do we have any that are not being used?
Yes, we have a total of, let me do my math, 50 available. If you take the 10 searching, about 40 available that are not in hand.
Okay. I know that it seems like the last time you were with us, we were talking about sending some of our VASH vouchers to the county or to other agencies so that they could be utilized. Did that take place, and do we have 10 unused even after we've shared some of those vouchers with other jurisdictions?
We would have 10 unused, but we have not heard back from our Phoenix office, HUD office. They were needing to work with headquarters in Washington on whether those would be moved, and we've not heard anything yet with that. No decision's been finalized.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Thompson has a question.
Thank you, Mayor. Mary, I know like a year or so ago, we were having issues trying to get the multifamily folks to accept our veterans. I'm guessing we've cleared that hurdle. I know that the mayor and others were bringing everyone together to have that conversation about housing our veterans and so forth, using the VASH vouchers. So I'm assuming that has all been cleared up and that everyone's cooperating and we're doing well in that arena.
No, I would say we're climbing the hurdle, but we're surely not over it yet. We're still working, trying to get more landlords that are willing to work with our veterans and with our voucher programs overall. But we continually to do outreach and incentive programs that we have for that. One good thing is we are getting more referrals from the VA up to this last month. They've slowed down a little bit, but over this last year, we've received a lot more referrals than we were having before. The next part of our update is our challenges. Of course, the increase of rents, the market rents are going up, so that is a challenge. But we are working really hard to keep our payment standard, which is a percentage of your fair market rents, competitive, so we can make sure that we are approving those higher rents that are reasonable for our participants. And then the landlord participation that we did talk about. So I wanted to give you just an update of what we are doing with our time right now with us dealing with the COVID-19. Our office is closed to the public. We are doing business via phone, email, fax. We've had to come up with some creative ways to help those that may not have a computer. So all in-person appointments are canceled, and we're just trying to work through those technology ways instead. One thing that the building that we're in now had a night drop, and we have opened that up. And outside near the door, we've left envelopes and a few forms for them to be able to complete and drop in the drop box. So that is probably something that we will continue doing. One thing to note is that a lot of our participants have lost income, family members have lost income. So we've been receiving a lot of change reports of this lost income. And our past protocol has been that we would complete those within 30 days. And staff has been instructed that I want those done within 8 business days. That's 2 weeks. Seems like a lot, but when their caseload is up to 400, I've just asked them to push those and press those through quickly so we can get the changes made so they're not having to pay that extra rent because of their loss of income.
Excuse me, Mary, can I interrupt you and ask a question?
Yes.
I've talked with some attorneys over the last couple of weeks that are frustrated with, they work with kind of an at-risk population, folks that are in assisted living facilities, and sometimes, they need to have documents witnessed or notarized, and it's with the health safeguards, that we're adopting during the COVID-19 situation, it just makes that very difficult to happen. I mean, we're used to seeing a lot of your customers coming through the City Plaza building, and I'm under the impression that they're there because they need to execute documents. You mentioned that you're utilizing a Dropbox. That makes a lot of sense, but is that working? Are there times where you need witnesses or notaries, or are you able to function okay by just having people drop documents in the box?
A lot of the documents that they're dropping off or bringing when we were at the City Plaza is income documentation, documents that they're going to move, documents asking for an inspection, those kind of things. But the personal documents, when they're adding someone to the household, maybe a birth certificate, social security card, and things like that, we're allowing them to put them in the Dropbox. Then we are certifying mailing the originals back to them because we want to see the originals. And then the second step is, right now we are accepting emails or faxes of those documents, and then when things calm down a little bit, we may want to look at the originals. And the reason for that is just some of the personal fraud on that. Did that answer?
Okay, and I assume that's all in compliance with the HUD regulations that you have to work within.
Yes, it's HUD regulations and our policy.
Okay, thank you.
One thing I wanted to say is the stimulus checks we heard are in the mail, that possibly midweek next week some of the citizens will have their stimulus check. And just wanted to point out to you that that will not be counted as their income, which is a good thing because that's a one-time payment. So we've had a lot of calls from participants asking that, but that's a one-time payment, so that won't be calculated. We have sent letters out to participants. We started 3-4 weeks ago, sending letters out to our participants and emails to our landlords, trying to keep them in up to date on our processes and how we're working through things. We had sent a letter out before the governor had mentioned anything about evictions, asking our landlords to please work with our participants during this time for their portion of rent, that we would process these changes right away and get that done, so they that will help with the evictions. Also, we sent a letter out to our participants to tell them that maybe they won't be evicted, but they're still going to owe that money. So to please be diligent on trying to make up those payments and to make sure they don't get behind. We send emails and letters out biweekly to them, and we're going to continue with that to let them know what is going on. Another note is our rent payments are not changing. We make our first of the month check run and we make a mid-month check run, and those are continuing. We will continue to pay landlords. A couple things that we have done on our website with this COVID-19, it has made us think outside the box. How can we do business differently? How can we continue to give the best customer service we can? With help from several staff members, we've made some online forms where they can fill them out and hit submit, and they go to a general housing mailbox, and then we can print them off and do our work like we need to do. That's gonna help them, especially those that can't print and sign a document and then fax it to us or email it to us. So we're excited about those things coming about, and I think we'll see a lot more forms online in that way. Our inspections, we've had to cancel our annual and biannual inspections for right now for the safety of our inspector. We are continuing with the initial inspections, which is the move-in inspection, because those units are empty. No one is living in the unit, and he can go in and inspect and approve so we can get those families moved in. Emergency inspections, we're trying to do those virtual. He can work with the landlord, get documentation, get pictures to prove that those things are being fixed or whatever, just so he wouldn't have to go to that unit. But of course, if it is an emergency and the landlord is not cooperative, he will go into that unit. Our housing staff, we can't 100% telecommute, so we're working, they're rotating. We're working 5 days and rotating, where they work 2 days at home and 2 days in the office. That is helping us keep a minimum amount of staff in the office. I just appreciate staff for thinking outside the box, finding these new ways that we continue to do business with the best customer service we can. It has forced us to find these new processes and streamlining our processes, which I believe a lot of those we will continue to do after our office is open again. I wanted to let you know that our staff was working with Mesa Cares the last 3 days on making contact to our participants and landlords. We sent over 1,800 emails. Some participants didn't have emails, so staff made 653 calls in 2 days, asking them to go and take the survey for the Mesa Cares. And if they had questions or concerns, or we get phone calls or emails of people wanting to know, hey, I need help with rent, that are not one of our participants, we have been giving them resources, sending them to the resources in Arizona Department of Housing website for the rental assistance there.
I'm sorry, Mary, before you move on, I know that there is some new assistance available for to avoid evictions through the governor's office. There's a new app that we've been announcing and referring people to. Do you have any additional information about that?
I don't have any additional information. We are referring them. I did go to the website. I did go through the process of the application to kind of just get familiar with that. But I understand it's open and money is being distributed, but I don't have any further detail than that.
Okay, thank you.
We are working as a community services to enhance all of our programs to try to work through the needs of our residents here. But one thing just to note that we continue to have our staff be positive and willing and working through these, working remotely when possible, and streamlining processes according to city policy and the HUD regulations. So that's all I have today, unless you have any questions for me.
Thank you, Mary. Council, any questions for Mary regarding this agenda item? Okay, Mary, thank you. I know that a lot of work went into that housing plan update, so thank you for your hard work. And it'll, as in reference to Mr. Thompson's question about, the willingness of landlords to accept our vouchers, the VASH vouchers, but also the Section 8 vouchers. And I mean, we've been in an interesting situation the last year or so, where market rate housing has been in such demand that the landlords have really had no motivation to want to work with folks with vouchers. So the next few months will be interesting to see how how the downturn in the economy might impact that. But I guess time will tell. Is there, Mr. Brady, any other, I don't believe there's anything else on the agenda for this meeting. My good staff did text me the agenda, and it looks like we've done everything on this agenda. Is that correct?
That's correct, Mayor. You can adjourn the Housing Governing Board.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion to adjourn this meeting? Thank you, Mr. Luna. We will just vote by unanimous consent to adjourn the meeting. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye.